welcome to Forbidden Planet TV, and on today's extra special episode we are live in person with Samantha Shannon to talk about all the spots of importance in Seven Dials for her Bone Season series. So, hey.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, very well. So, tell us about the importance of number 55 months.
So this building's where it all started, both in terms of where the book starts and where the journey to writing the book starts. So 55 Mulberry Street, it used to have a red door, and it used to lead up to where my literary agent David Godwin was based. And I worked with David as a literary intern for a couple of weeks in the summer of 2011. And while I was in there, I basically just fell in love with this area. There's like a window up there, which is where I was working, and I can see right across to the Two Brewers pub. And I hadn't been to this area before, even though I've lived in London for my whole life, and I just absolutely loved it. So this was where while I was working in the office, I suddenly had this vision of a girl who was essentially going to work like I was, and who was the same age as me, but she happened to be clairvoyant, and that's where the story began. So it was right here. My agent does not work here anymore. He has moved to Farringdon, but I was his intern for a couple of weeks, like I said, and then he later became my representative for the Bone Season series, and he's still my agent to this day.
Very, very cool, very, very cool. And we picked obviously the perfect day to do this, guys, because it is raining in London, surprisingly. But yeah, so really fond memories. I know we were discussing yesterday about being like living in London but not really knowing areas of London, and when you have people visiting or whatever, then you suddenly find like different areas of London. So this is quite interesting because our store's like 10 minutes away, but we very rarely.
I know, yeah, like I went to Covent Garden a lot to go shopping, but I just never really strayed in this particular direction because there wasn't really any need. This is my favourite part of the whole of London now. I love it so much. I would love to live here if only I had more money.
You need to buy more books, folks. So where's the next spot on the tour? And then we're going to like fast forward.
I think we should go and see the Pillar.
Let's go see the Pillar. See you in a bit. So we are at the Pillar, and if anyone remembers, get a good shot of the blue and gold, the original Bone Season jacket that I've got lovingly on my shelf.
Yeah. So the classic covers of the Bone Season were inspired by the blue and gold faces of the sundial pillar. It was designed by David Mann of Bloomsbury, and I still have a great affection for those, and I really like how the new covers reference the colour scheme of the original, so we still have that. So this is the middle of Seven Dials. Seven Dials was originally developed by a guy called Thomas Neal in 1693, and he was trying to create a residential area where there was like the maximum number of dwellings. So he has 7 roads coming together around this spot. The pillar was originally designed by a guy called Edward Pearce, but this is not the original pillar because at some point it was pulled down. Some people think it was pulled down because at one point this became an area where there were a lot of like criminals, and they used to gather around the pillar, which the local authorities didn't want. And there's a theory that part of the reason that there were so many criminals here was because the house's windows generally don't face the pillar, and there's 7 different ways that you can escape from the area. So I thought that was quite cool. This building here, I think this is one of the ones that is on the back cover of the new Bone Season cover. It's now called the Crown. It was originally called the Clock House, and this was known as a hotbed of villainy at one point. And there's a writer who wrote about how the king of pickpockets would kind of hold court here. It was originally designed to be this kind of genteel residential area. It later became much more commercialised, got a very bad reputation. There's a report about how a man was put in the stocks here, and the crowd got so angry with him that they actually beat him to death. And there would be scenes where people would be afraid to walk through Seven Dials at night because it had such a poor reputation. I'm pretty sure Charles Dickens mentions it in Oliver Twist at one point. So yeah, this is the area. So this is the new pillar that's based on the work of Edward Pearce, who was a very respected kind of carver at the time. And I just fell in love with this as soon as I saw it, and it just struck me as a very cool district to set a fantasy novel. So when Paige first emerges in the Bone Season, she emerges from 55 Mulberry Street, and she observes the pillar, and it's kind of the landmark of the area. And one of my favourite things is that a lot of Bone Season readers, when they visit London, they'll come here, take a photo of it, and then tag me, and it's just such a lovely thing to have that kind of physical landmark that connects to the series. massively.
So, how much has the area kind of like changed? Because obviously, it's a super gentrified area. There's some very like ritzy shops here and stuff. When you were like first obviously based in Monmouth Street and stuff, how was the area different even 10 plus years ago?
It's definitely changed a little. I mean, just the fact that my agent is obviously no longer there. That Cafe Nero has been there for the whole time now, and I know that because I started writing the bone season in that Cafe Nero during my lunch breaks. One of the reasons that I was drawn to the area was because at the time, and I think still now as well, there's quite a few kind of new agey places that were selling aura beads and tarot cards and crystal balls and that kind of thing, and that's why I was interested in writing a story about clairvoyance, which wouldn't have otherwise occurred to me, I think, but I was quite inspired by the signs that said like palm readings and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely changed, but I think even 10 years ago it was pretty, genteel area, which is exactly what Thomas Neal would have wanted for it, I think, even though it's, again, much more commercial than he originally intended.
Yes. So where is the next spot?
I suppose we could go and find out a bit more about the Cafe Nero.
Let's go to, I have a copy, we can get it. Let's
get one.
Let's go get some coffees at Cafe Nero, where obviously some of the early words were formed.
Yeah.
So, next. Right, so we are here at the Cafe Nero, the coffee shop of choice for authors from there. So yeah, when do you remember when you first kind of started writing it, and did you think it was going to become what it has today?
I definitely didn't know. So I wish that I could say that I wrote the book at the much cooler Monmouth Coffee, which is a very famous coffee shop down Monmouth Street, which does some fantastic coffee, but I've got to be honest, I wrote it at the Cafe Nero. So yeah, I remember during my lunch break, I would come here and write the notes for the series, and when I was first kind of struck with the idea, I didn't have a notebook on me, and I remember I was so desperate for a notebook, and I didn't really know the area very well, so I didn't know where to buy one, and I ended up going all the way to the Strand to buy this red post office notebook. It was very uncool. And that's where I started writing the series. So there's a basement in this Cafe Nero. It's got this lovely wrought iron staircase that goes down, and I just used to kind of sit in the basement and make my notes. So this is where it all started after 55 Monmouth Street.
And do you find that you work better kind of writing outside the house, like going to coffee shops or?
Yeah, I actually think I do sometimes need to get out, and the way I discovered that was during the pandemic, because I couldn't go out, and I did feel a bit kind of cooped up when that happened. I do prefer generally to write at home though, but I like the option of writing in a coffee shop. I like the atmosphere, and I like people watching between writing sessions. So yeah, I did used to enjoy coming here at my lunch break and writing.
Any celebrity spots?
No, I have seen Bill Nye elsewhere in London. Not here though.
So, where's next?
I think maybe Ching Court.
Okay.
So when you're walking through Seven Dials, keep an eye out for this silver sign on Monmouth Street. So this tells you about Ching Court, which was an architectural iron business, and they owned a space in here, which is actually a public space. So come with me, I'll show you the entrance. This right here is the entrance to Ching Court in this doorway. Now it looks like it's private, but actually anyone can go in here. So let's go inside and have a look. And this is Ching Court. So like I said, this is Ching Court. It is a public space, so anyone can come in here and just soak up the sun. It's really nice on a summer's day, and it's actually where my current author photo was taken. And my office, when I worked for David Godwin, backed onto this place, so I used to come out here during my lunch breaks and sometimes write bits of the book when I wasn't in Cafe Nero. It's a really gorgeous space, and it's mentioned in the revised version of the Mime Order, where Paige climbs out of one of the windows and comes into Ching Court, and it's kind of her secret way out of the den. So I really love it here.
It's very cool. I never would have thought that you can just walk in here
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
It's like, this is a very cool space.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's really pretty with the colours, and yeah, it's again one of my favourite spots in the whole of London.
Very cool. Very, very cool. There's so many kind of hidden away bits of London.
I know, yeah. I wouldn't have known about it if David hadn't worked in that building.
It almost feel like a private garden in a way, like so many people don't know about it, that you can just come and have your lunch and relax.
I think it just looks like it should be private, but it
isn't. Yeah. So where have we got next?
Let's go to Neil's Yard.
Neil's Yard.
So this is Neil's Yard. It's another little hidden gem of the area. Well, probably not quite so hidden, but I consider it a hidden gem. And this is one of Paige's favourite places to hang out in the bone season revisions. There's a fictional restaurant that I created called Chatterlines, which is the best, well, what Paige considers to be the best cook shop in London, and does this amazing honey cake, which I wish existed, but doesn't. But it's supposed to be here in Neil's Yard. And Paige's boss, Jackson, is in charge of this whole area, like quite a significant part of London. But this is the main place that his gang actually kind of hangs out.
It's very cool. It's very cool. I think I don't know if you've ever tried Japanese honey toast. No. The first time I tried it, I thought of the honey cake because it's like they do really kind of thick, sweet bread that's like baked with the honey, and it's super lovely. So yeah, we'll get you some honey toast. The next one. So yeah, Neil's Yard is again one of those places that everyone should come to. There's some very cool architecture. It's very playful. It feels like it could be a day. It does. Stuff going on here.
Yeah, so. And very Instagrammable.
Yes. So that was the end of our extra special Forbidden Planet TV, and we're obviously going behind the scenes of all the inspiration for the Bone Season series. We've obviously got the lovely kind of reimagined, beautiful editions available in stores very, very soon, which is very, very exciting. And yeah, watch this space for more Bone Season news soon. Bye. Bye.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.